Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial, we're actually going to finish implementing and then apply our Zoom algorithm. The way this works, and I actually derived this after a lot of thinking and experimentation and finally resorting to algebra to work this out. Although it's simple in a way, it's not an immediately obvious kind of algorithm. But I'm going to start here in ZoomList do Zoom by creating a double X fractal, which we'll do the X one first, and then we'll copy this and change it to get the scaled Y value. And we're actually going to return this here in this pair. So we'll move on to the Y in a second. And what we do is we can only actually scale around the point 0, 0. So we take in an X coordinate that's specified in bitmap coordinates. And let's think about the actual center, the point that's at the center of the screen. To move that to the 0, 0 point in the bottom left, we'd have to subtract m_width here, divide by 2. Then we could apply the scale to it, m_scale. And finally, we can move it back to where we actually want it using m_x center. And that is how this algorithm works. Let's do the same for Y, and we're going to change this to height and change this to Y center, and then we've got to remember to return it. So Y fractal here. Now we can actually use this to replace our existing Zoom algorithm. So we'll go to main.cpp, and if you want a bit of a challenge, a good little thing to do is use the algorithm that we've now created to replace this. So that's not too hard. You'll need to look up C++ per to actually see how to use that. But I'll show you how to do that now. So pause the video if you want to have a go at that. So instead of this, we'll delete this stuff in our first nested loop, the actual zooming stuff, and we'll say instead per double, let's call this coords equals zoom list.doZoom, and pass in the present coordinates. And then we'll use this in get iterations. So we'll say coords.first, which is how you access the first value in the pair, and coords.second, which gives us the Y value in this pair. That's just how the per utility class is defined. So I think now if we actually build this and run it, we should see something a bit similar to what we had before, maybe in a slightly different position with a bit of a different zoom, but it should be broadly similar. So let's take a look. This is taking quite a long time to run. I'm going to have to start pausing my videos soon when this is running, but let's take a look. So it's completely black at the moment. What did I do wrong? Well, we've got our coordinates, and we're definitely using the coordinates. And if we look at zoomlist.cpp, I've just implemented it in entirely the wrong place. I keep doing that over and over again. It's driving me crazy. I can never seem to get a grip on it. Let's paste in the right code from the wrong project. I'll fix that other project later. So now finally it's got to work. I've actually just been creating these projects by creating a new project, configuring it to be C++11, and then copying and pasting the code, because although you can copy projects and paste them, it doesn't seem to work at the moment for CDT. So there we are, there's our fractal, and we can now play around with this. For example, we could change the scale. If we go to main.cpp, this scale here, we can make it, let's say, bigger or smaller. And if we build this and run it, and we look at our bitmap, then we should see a bigger fractal now. There we go. What you can do now is you can, if you get like an image program, and I'm going to use GIMP, which is free, then you can pick a point on the screen and plug those coordinates into your zoom list. So add another zoom to the zoom list, and then choose a scaling factor to apply, some fractional factor to make it bigger, and zoom in on that point, and you can have a whole list of those that you work out one after the other. One thing to watch is My version of GIMP gives me the coordinates in a more traditional sort of sense than what we're using with a bitmap, which is that y increases, it starts at 0 at the top and increases going downwards, whereas the bitmap coordinates have y increasing upwards, so you have to take that into account. But for an exercise, you could just have a go at that, see if you can pick points on this fractal, and then add the appropriate zoom to the zoom list in main.cpp here, and see if you can zoom in on that point, and we'll cover that in the next tutorial. So until next time, happy coding.